Okay. We had seen that very cryptic, difficult brisa with that difficult interpretation. And then because of two questions, a Yairish or Lashon Vachrayas, Kontabaya, we concluded with a very simplistic pshat, which was if a person goes ahead and sells a field, and then there's a question about the ownership of the field, he's not able to testify on behalf of the loikeach because he's noigeya be'edis. Why? Because if he has a balchoiv, it behooves him for the land to remain by the what? By the lokeach. Because he doesn't want to be called what? He doesn't want to be called a Rasha. So which reminds me that I'm supposed to go ahead and post something, which I am able to do because I'm just good at this now. Okay. Let's get rid of this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and explain that. We brought that in as a pshat in the brisa. Now, Gufa, we're going to analyze it itself. You know the answer to this already. You know the answer to this, so the first part of the share will be a little easier. I know the last few dafim have been very, very challenging. So we're up to Mem Dalit Amid Beis, 4 lines from the bottom, Gufa. Amar Rava Bar Shmuel, says Ravin Bar Shmuel, in the Mishmei de Shmuel, in the name of Shmuel, you sell a field to your friend Shloi Bachrayas, meaning if it's taken away from him, he's got no tinus in you whatsoever. So l'chayra, you should be able to be testified because you have no negias whatsoever. Nonetheless, ein meid lo yalecha. You're not able to testify if a complaint comes saying the field does not belong to you when you sold it. You would not be able to go ahead and testify in order to facilitate keeping the field in the possession of the lekeach. Mifnei shemamida b'fnei bal chayvay, because you want to go ahead and be maimed in front of your bal chayv. So in other words, if I sell a field to Lenny, and now someone comes along and Yehuda comes along as Ma'aron saying, Lenny, guess what? The field that Lisa sent to you is not really his field. Then I'm not able to testify because I have a previous chayv to Dov. And it behooves me that Dov collect from that field. Now, if I had other property in my possession, Dov could not go to Lenny because you can't collect from a lien when there's unencumbered property. It's called b'nei chayrin. When you have land that's free, then what? So therefore, I should be able to go ahead and testify on behalf of Lenny to keep it by him. Why? Because I don't need this land for Dov to collect from. Dov is going to collect from the land that's still in my rishus. Says the Gemara, Hechidami, what exactly is the case that I cannot testify to keep the land by Lenny? If I have other land that's unencumbered, that it's ben cherin, Dov is going to come to me. Dov, my balchov, is going to come to me. After all, it's there's no mishubad. You can't ein nifroyim nechasim mishubadim b'makam sheyesh lem ben chayrin. You can't collect from a field that is mishubid, meaning that's the field that Lenny owns. From what? From bnei chayrin. So why can't I testify on that? Right? There's not a gay be'edis. Ella must be the lesle arachrita. Now I don't have what? Any other land. I don't have any other land now. So my nafkulamina. What nafkamina is there? So if I don't have any other land and the land remains by Lenny, even if the Ma'ara takes it away, so the Baal Chayv will have nothing to collect. So in other words, what? Meman of Shach. Dov can collect from land that I do have, or he can't collect from a land that never belonged to me. So why can't I testify? What am I doing? I'm testifying that Yehuda doesn't own the land and I'm keeping it in the Rishus Eleni. So now Dov can come along and take it away. Now, let's say the land did not belong to me, correct? So Memanav Shach Dov is, so where's the Nagei Eidis over here? There's no Nagei Eidis. Either Dov gets the land or he doesn't get the land, but it doesn't depend upon me. Why can't I testify to keep it by Lenny? And the answer is because it's good for me to keep it by Lenny, that Dov should get it, that Dov shouldn't call me a Russia. That's the answer. Now, we knew this all along. So the Gemara says, and for the Gemara, right, my naflamina, loilam delesle arachrita. So I don't have any other land. So why am I nageya be'edis? Because I want the land to stay by Lenny. The Amar, leinicha de lahave loiva Russia leishalem. I don't want to be a Russia that doesn't pay up his debt. So therefore, I would testify in order to keep it by Lenny for that reason, in order that Dov should collect it. Says the Gemara, soif legabe idach nami loiva Russia leishalem who. So guess what? So Dov now comes and takes the land away. Who has nothing? Who paid land without achrayas? Who paid for land without achrayas? Lenny. So if the whole reason that I'm testifying to keep it by Lenny, that I should be called a Russia as a result of the halva to what? To Dov, and now I'm going to be called a Russia as a result of the fact that I'm taking away from Lenny. Lenny bought the field. You hear? In other words, I'm going to testify to keep it away from Yehuda. Why am I doing that? Because I don't want Dov to have any tightness on me. I don't want Dov to, and so ein made a love. I'm noigeya be'edus, and therefore I can't testify. Read the Gemara. Why am I noigeya be'edus eitzel Dov? What about poor Lenny? Lenny went ahead. He bought a field, right? He bought a field, and without shleibach rayas, meaning if it's taken away from him, as Kenny would say, ekrikt garnished, right? He doesn't get anything. So why is it not what? A Russia, it's a what? Lenny. It's beautiful kasha. Read the Gemara, right? For those people who came late, Mem Hey Amid Aleph, we're a few lines down. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. Slave legabi idach nami by like Lenny la'avi Russia v'leishalim who? Since I didn't gain anything, I should not be nageya be'edus. That's why I sold it to you, shloi b'achrayas. What did Rabbi Zvid say yesterday? You go ahead, you buy a field shloi b'achrayas. Who the pasha al nafshe? Basically, you're messing yourself over, guys. Lenny might be a great eye doctor, but he's not much of a businessman because he bought a land without achrayas, without any security, without any title search, right? Who the pasha? No. So therefore, he can't call me a Russia. Masha'en came Dov. What did Dov do, guys? Dov lent me money. I owed him. He did a mitzvah. Im kesef tal vesami. Now, he did a mitzvah, and now I'm going to go ahead and mess him over by allowing the land to be taken away by Yehuda. Then I'm called a Russia. So there's a difference between the land being taken away Lenny and the land being taken away from Dov. If I testify to keep it by Lenny, right? It's to go ahead because I don't want Dov calling me a Russia. Why would Dov have a right to call me a Russia? He did a mitzvah. He lent me money, and I secured the loan with what? With this field. And now I'm going ahead saying, "Hey, Dov, tough luck. I'm a Russia." Mashain came Lenny, who bought the field. So what are you going to say? I'm nageya be'edus regarding Lenny? Why? If I'm not nageya regarding Lenny, if he loses the field, it's his fault. Okay, guys. So let's reiterate, and we'll ask a bomb kasha. What's going on over here? Says Shmuel Adin. Says Shmuel, if a person goes ahead, he sells the field to somebody. In this case, I sold it to Lenny. I can't tell, and Yehuda comes along and says, Rabbi Stern, Leza had no right to sell you that field because it wasn't his, right? Comes along me, and I could testify on Lenny. I can't. I'm not able to testify on Lenny. Why? What am I worried about? Is that I am nageya be'edus. I don't want to be called a Russia. How would I be called a Russia? Because if I don't testify for Lenny, right, to keep it there, it's going to go away. Comes along Dov and says, Rabbi, where's my money? I said, I don't have it. She goes, 1 second, but there was a land that secured the loan. I said, guess what? It was by Lenny. I sold it, and now it's longer there. Trust me, Dov will not be very happy. Russia, you'll be called what? A loiva Russia v'lo yishalem. You'll be called a loiva Russia that doesn't pay up. That's the whole reason I can't testify. Fred the Gemara, the bottom line is that that's the reason. 1 second. Forget about Dove. Even if Lenny, I should not be able to testify because the field being taken away from Lenny. Isn't Lenny going to call me a Russia? And the answer is for Lenny, no, I could testify, right? I would be able to, because again, I don't really care about Lenny keeping it or not, because Lenny bought a B'shlei B'achrayas, and therefore what? He accepted whatever's going to happen is going to happen. That's the Gemara we did so far. Okay, now, let's figure this out. I'm not able to testify. Why? What are you worried about? I want to keep my what? My good standing. So what? You're chayish that I'm going to lie? You don't let me testify. I'm nageya be'edus. Now, if you're nageya be'edus, what's the psul? Which is really a shaila. But l'chora, based upon this rimagash, we have a very, very powerful question. Russia V'hiksha Rav Yosef Alevi Zal Even Megash. The Megash, fellas, was, according to historians, the Rebbe of the Rambam. I think the Rambam, I don't think you've ever learned by him, but by his Levayo or something, he got his Iris. So he was a Talmud of the Rif. So your Messiah be the Rif, the Megash, and the Rambam. So you're talking about a super early Rishon. So Hiksha Rav Yosef Alevi Megash, the Megash. The whole reason what are you worried about over here is that what? I'm going to lie because I don't want him to call me a Russia. L'charid is a very, very bigger reason that if you're chayish, I'm going to lie. One of the aseres adibis is like sana breyachet shoker. You should be able to go ahead what? And say false edis. How is it possible to go ahead what? And call an 8 sheker a Russia. So l'chayrid is a very, very strong reason that you shouldn't go ahead what and allow me to testify because I'm what? How could you if you're going to think that I'm chayish to lie? There's a better reason than being called an 8 Russia. I would. How could I lie? I mean, to be over on a bigger deterrent to lie would be because I'm over on the Aseres Adibris, not because what? Not because I don't want to be called an Russia. In other words, this seems to be a very secondary reason not to let me go ahead and testify. There's a bigger reason that what? I would lie. I'd be over on what? Leisana Breyacha. So that's what the Rimagash is asking. But love the Eid Sheker Chomer, isn't Eid Sheker more severe? How could you could say an 8 sheker is just called a Rashi? It's much worse. B'tiritz the Hachi Kamar. The Leilikri Inchi Loive Russia, that people shouldn't call him a Russia. V'lo Yishalim. V'lotzes midei laz habriyos miskaven. In other words, it's not pshat that we don't believe this guy. It's not pshat, fellas, that if we're chayish that this guy's a liar to not let him swear. The guy's really not a liar. You know what he's worried about? He's worried about people. He's worried what people will say. We're not, in other words, the Rimagash is asking, if we're chayish that this guy's a liar, that he's willing to lie, l'chayra, how could you let him forget about Eid Shekel? It says Eid Shekel, it's much worse. Says the Rimagash, again, the Rashba's teretz in the Rimagash. Again, Lenny's from the Shinanton. It's the side of the Gemara. It's not even Shinanton. It's from the side of the Gemara. The Gemara and the Ois V'Hada brings down the Alikut of Rishonim. So it's on the page of the Gemara itself in the more modern Gemaras. So he says a fabulous thing, which is sometimes when it comes to Bein Adam L'Chaveroi, we are a little more, unfortunately, we're more worried about people will think than what God thinks. In other words, if this guy doesn't consider himself a liar, he doesn't consider himself, I'm being over in the Seres Adibis, to go ahead, in this case, for me, to keep the field by Lenny. What am I worried about? I'm worried about, you know what, Dove is going to, the lies that's going to go out, Dove is going to say Rabbi Stern is a liar, you can't trust him. That's, in other words, a very real psychological dynamics of an individual that you might go ahead and stretch the truth a little bit, right, in order to avoid this harama, this cold that's going to go out about you. So it's not pshat that you chayish. How can you let him swear this guy's a liar and you want to son of shaker? The guy doesn't think he's lying. He doesn't think he's lying. He's just saying, listen, I got to save my reputation. I'll do everything in my power to go ahead and keep the field by Lenny. So it's a very powerful question and a very, very, very real answer. The question is, how could you live if you chayish this guy's 80 sheker? How, if he's a liar, he's a liar. So how can you go ahead and even consider, forget about that. It's going to be called a Russia. Forget about a Russia. He's worse than a Russia. He's an 8 sheker, which is worse. And for the Gemara, he's not an 8 sheker. He's not an 8 sheker. Why? Because really he's not lying in his mind. All he really wants to do, says the Rashba, is to keep it by Lenny in order to go ahead and pacify what? Dove. In order that he should not have that reputation of being what? Loiva Russia, Shalim. I thought the teretz really makes so much sense because we know human nature. Human nature, and I think the question's a powerful question, and the answer is a beautiful answer. Okay, Baruch Hashem. Says the Gemara Vaita. Machviz Rava, the Item Rav Papa, the Sulkin Le'ila, those who go up to Eretz Yisrael, Udinachlan Letata, and those who go from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, Hai Bar Yisrael, the Zavon Lechamra Yisrael, someone sells a chamor to Yisrael, Chavre, his friend, the Ka'asa Akom, and comes along an Akom, the honestly minei, and the Akom physically takes it away from him. Now the question is, the Akum is saying that it's mine. In other words, he's saying it's mine. Now, can I get involved in this? Well, once the sale is final, it's final. I think, fellas, the segue of this Gemara is, in the previous Gemara, I, as the Moicha, was not allowed to get involved to save the field. And in this one, I am able to get involved. That's the segue into it. That in the first case, I was not able to go get involved. And now in this case, I am able to get involved. So I think that what is the segue into this, says the Gemara. So I go ahead, I sell a chamor to somebody, comes along a goy onus and takes it away from him. Dinahu, the mafsile mine, right? The din is that I can go ahead and pacify and get involved and assist. And pacify is not the word. The word is be poida, to redeem. I can assist. If I sold the chamor to Ari, I can assist Ari in any which way to keep it. I can get involved. That's the segue. The previous Gemara, I didn't get involved. This Gemara, I do get involved. Okay? For loy omron, we don't say that I have to get involved to save the chamor for Ari. That Ari doesn't know that this chamor that I sold him was my chamor. But let's say Ari was very, very diligent and he knew my what I had in my herd of chamorim, and he knows that this one was born. So in other words, he knows about it. Then I don't have to get involved. Then let him deal with the guy himself. The guy says it's his. If Ari is makir, if he recognizes that this chamor came from me, and therefore the guy is just going ahead and doing what a guy does and steal it, then I don't have to get involved. If it's not so clear that maybe it was the guy's, then legally I can go ahead and get involved. But if it's clear to Ari that it was mine when he bought it, then I don't have any mitzvah to get involved. There's nothing to go. And the second thing, the goy did not take the chamor and its saddle. He only took the chamor. If he left the saddle, is a raya that he's not a typical guy who rips off things. He's a guy that's going ahead, leaving the expensive saddle. The guy's a chamor. We have the Gemara that chamor, you can't put another saddle on another chamor. Some Gemara. So you can't. They're custom fit, the saddles. They're used to a certain rubbingness. Anyway, so if he left that, then Memela, there's a svar to say he really has a legal taina, and you need me to get involved. Honestly, what happens if the guy just took the chamor and he took the saddle with it? Then I don't have to get involved. Why? Because that's a classic guy going ahead and taking something. The fact that he took the saddle with the chamor shows he doesn't have a legal claim to this chamor, because he's claiming the chamor, he's not claiming the saddle, so he's stam stealing. So stam stealing is an honest, then what? I don't have to get involved. This is all a moot point. Why? Because Ameima Amar, and this is how we paskin, Afil leka kolhani. Even if you don't have it, even if Ari doesn't know that it was born by me, and even if the guy left the saddle, even in those cases, I don't have to get involved. My timer, what's the reason that I don't have to get involved? Because Meida Yoda, the Stama Vikechovim, Anisu Stama Goy he takes things that aren't his. Shnemar, Asher Piem Diber Shov, the Minam Yemin Sheker. So the mean Sheker, to the right is Sheker, he's a Shakrin, and therefore there's nothing for me to get involved with. There's no legal claim he's having. He's simply doing what a guy does and steals. He's being honest and he steals. And again, the reason we bring this in, I think the segue is because in this case, that's a havamina that what I should have to get involved and help, as opposed to the previous Gemara where I don't get involved at all. Okay, getting back to our Mishnah had said that we just did shutfin. It was very interesting. We're working our way back a little bit. The Mishnah had said that shutfin, arisin, they don't have a chazaka, right? We said they don't have a chazaka. We said, but the first case was, we says an umin doesn't have a chazaka. Okay, let's reiterate. Usually when it comes to metaltalin, whatever you have underneath your hands, your possession, is yours. Even if 5 minutes ago somebody went ahead and said he had edus that belonged to this person, when it comes to my hand, the fact that I'm muhsakin shows it's mine. Right? There are certain things, for example, if it's something that's normally borrowed, that's lent out or rented out, then the fact that I have it is not a raya. The fact that I have it then is in fact not a raya, because in fact that since it's borrowed or rented out, the fact that it's by me, that I'm muhsik in it, doesn't necessarily guarantee that I'm ispal. On umin, even if it's something that is not normally rented out, but it has no chazaka. Because the svara is, I gave it to him for his expertise. I gave it to him. If he's a tailor, I gave it to him to go ahead and sew the baguette. If he's an artisan, I gave it to him to fix it or make something for me, or give something to him. If he's a cleaners, I gave him to cleaners. So again, that was pashut pshat, and it's not speaking about cheskes shalosh shanim. It's speaking about muhsik holding on to it. That if he has it, it's his. We're going to see a huge machlokes today between Rabba and Abaya. Rabba says that you need edim. You need edim for it to be considered what? A chazaka. If there's no edim, then he has a chazaka. In other words, Rabba is going to say, when do we say it's not a chazaka? Is that there's edis that you gave over to him, your stuff. But if you don't have edis that you gave over your stuff, the fact that he's muhsik, he has a migu. Believe me that it's mine. Migu could I said, if you never had edim that you gave it to me, where's your proof? So limashal, let's say Benji he goes into the cleaner's business, right? He's a cleaner. So now I go ahead, I give him my shirt. So if there's edis that I gave him my shirt, says Rabbah, this, I said, Benji, where's my shirt? And you say, what shirt? And Benji says, you know what? I bought it from you. Migu, Benji could have said you never gave it to me. He's believed that what? That he bought it from me. That's Rabbah. Says Rabbah, you need Edom. Says Abaya, even without Edom, you don't have a chazaka. Even without Edom, you don't have a chazaka, as we'll see. So that's the crux of the sugya. We know that the Mishnah says Omin doesn't have a chazaka. What is the explanation of that? Says Rabbi, the explanation is that what? Because there's edus that you gave it to him. Says Abaya, even without edus, he doesn't have chazaka. In the end, the Gemara is going to agree with Abaya. In the end, the Gemara is going to agree. We have an Amid. We're going to agree with Abaya. Says the Gemara. Amar Rabba, says Rabba. Umin ein la chazaka. Amar Rabba. Lo shanu that an umin doesn't have chazaka. El shamas loy be'edim. If what? The person gave it over with edim. Aval masa loy shaloi be'edim. But if he went ahead and he gave it shaloi be'edim, since Benji could say it never happened. When Benji claims that what? That he purchased it. I feel be'edim nami, even when you give over with Eidim, l'chayra, you could have a migu. In other words, if you're having this migu, let's do the ihachi again. Ihachi, if you're telling me that Benji has a migu, believe me that what he bought it from me, because migu could have said what? Even if there's Eidim, he has a migu. Believe me, I bought it. Migu, I could have said I returned it. So good, you have Eidim that what? That you gave it over. Where's your raya that what? Where's your raya that what? That it wasn't returned. So guys, watch. I go to Benji. I said, Benji, where's my shirt? He goes, the shirt you gave me? Yeah, I have Eidim that I gave you the shirt, Benji. I know you had my shirt. He says, Benji, you know what? I bought it from you. Believe me, I bought it from you. Migu, I could have said, I returned it. So once you're telling me that Benji has a migu, like and therefore he's believed he bought it, even if you have Eidim, he gave it over, he still has a migu. Believe me, I bought it. Migu, I could have said, I returned it. Guys, you good? You know, you have a winning taina over here. One more time. According to you, Rabbi, that says you need Eidim to avert a migu. What's the migu? If you have no Eidim, Benji could say, it never happened. So migu, that Benji says, I bought it, he has a chazaka on it. That's Rabba. That's Rabba. So Fred Abaya on Rabba. 1 second, Rabba, you're gonna go ahead and work with this migu. If that's the case, I still have a migu. Even if you didn't give it with Eidim, I have a migu, right? Even if you gave it with Eidim, I have a migu. Even if you gave it with Eidim, I have a migu. What does that mean? Benji, where's my shirt? After all, I got Eidim that you took it. So he says, I bought it from you. Believe me, I bought it from you. Migu, I could have said, I returned it to you. So Freg Dabaya on Rabbah, what did you gain by having Eidim? You still have a migu to go ahead and establish a chazaka. The tailor, in this case Benji, the cleaners, has an ability to establish a chazaka. That's why Freg the Gemara. Guys, we're good? Yes, no, maybe? You good? Okay, Baruch Hashem. Says the Gemara. Let's see it inside. Says Abaya, Ihachi, if you tell me you have a migu, when because there's Eidim, I feel Eidim nami. Even if you have Eidim that you gave over the shirt, since you go ahead and say that what I returned it to you, when he says that I bought it, then he should be believed that what? He should be believed that what? That he returned it. So Amalei Rabba says Rabba, Mi Savris Ami Beis. Hamafkid Eitzel Chaveru Be'edim, Ein Et Tzarech Lahachsaloi Be'edim, Loi Sakadaitach. El Hamafkid Eitzel Chaveru Be'edim, Tzarech Lahachsaloi Be'edim. If I give over the shirt to Benji with Eidim, I also have Eidim that he returned the shirt. Memela, he has no migu. What's the migu? Believe me, I bought it because I could have said I returned it. Benji can't say he returned it. You know why he can't say he returned it? Because just like I gave him with Eidim, it's returned with Eidim. If you give it to Eidim, you have to get it back with Eidim. So Rabbah has held serve. Again, Machlokes Rabbah and Abaya, we're beginning the sugya, says Rabbah, that din of the Mishnah that says that a woman has no chazaka is dafka speaking where there's edus that it was given to him. If there's no edus that he gave it to him, he has a migu. Believe me, I bought it. I could have said it never happened. Says Abaya, no. Says Abaya, even with Eidim, you have a chazaka. And you don't have a migu. Okay, says the Gemara. Mesirei Abaya. Yes, Abaya. Now Abaya is going to say that you don't have to return with Eidim, and I'll prove to you he doesn't have a migu. Right? Abaya says, you say Umin must return with Eidim. Abaya will prove to you he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to return it with Eidim. Good? Mesri Abaya. Ra'ah. Guys, Ra'ah. He sees. This is very important, that word. Ra'ah. He sees. Avdoi. His servant. Biyad Umin. In the hands of the Umin. Or Talisoi Biyad Kaifis. Or his talis in the hands of the launderer. Amar Loi. If he says to the Umin, Mativai Etzlacha. What's it doing by you? Amalei, the woman says to him, Ata machartali, you sold it to me. Ata nasnali matana, you gave it to me as matana. Loi amar klum. He's not believed. He's not believed. Now, if I can establish that this is speaking even with Adim, right? Even with Adim, you have a raya connected. Even without Adim, you'd have a raya. Guys, get it down. If I can establish this case, this is the case that we need. We're going to go ahead. We're going to say a second case, but the second case is not necessary for the question. In learning, sometimes they ask the kasha from the brisa. It's important to follow the paper trail where exactly the kasha is from. So the kasha is from here. The kasha is from here. Okay, what's the kasha? When it says raw, you see. If I have Adim that I gave it to you, why do I have to see it by you? I know it's there. Raw means you saw it there because you're saying that there was no Adis that you gave it over. The fact that you said raw, I see it by you, is a raya that what? That there was no Adim. Again, because if you have Adim, why does it make a difference whether you saw it or you didn't see it? You know it's by him. Guys, you hear the svara. You hear the svara. By me seeing by you, that's a chiddush. Meaning, without me seeing, there's no way I would know that it's by you. But if there's Adim, of course you know it's by you, right? If you have testimony saying you gave it to him, then automatically you know it was by him. Ella must be the word raw when you saw it, means, 1 second, this is news to me. You know why it's news to you? Because there was no Adim. And what does it say? Loi amar klum, that the umin does not have a chazaka. That's the kasha. That's the kasha. Again, says Rabbi, the only time you have a chazaka is where there's Adim. But if there's no Adim, l'chayra, you have a migu. Believe me, I bought it. I could have said, we have a case now where we know there's no Adim. How do you know there's no Adim? Because it says Ra'ah. You saw it. Mashma, that's the only way I know it's there because I saw it. And nonetheless, while not believed, he has no chazaka. Kasha, that's going to be the kasha on Rabbah. Now we're just going to bring in a second case, but I didn't want to go ahead and get diverted from the kasha. Because what's going to happen is, Kitani Miyas, you know what Kitani Miyas means? You just went through a lot of Gemara, and now you have to find the kasha. So I'm going ahead, foreshadowing you the kasha, and then it gets a little easier. So one more time. We have Machloikis Abaya v'Rabba. Says Rabba, when doesn't a umin have chazaka? Like it says in the Mishnah, a umin doesn't have chazaka. That's when what? When there's adis that I gave it to the umin, and therefore it takes away the migu of it never happened. If I don't have Adim, then you have a migu. I bought it. Migu, I could have said it doesn't happen. So if I, Abaya, can prove to you, Rava, that he still does not have a chazaka, even without Adim, I win. I will prove it to you. Why? Let's see the case inside. Meisve Abaya, Ra'a, meaning he saw it, right? I saw it in the house. You have Adim that I saw in the house. Guys, you don't have Adim that you gave it over, but you have Adim that you saw it. You hear the difference? There's no, I have Adim that it's your possession. I don't have Adim that I gave it over to you. Good? Rabbi's din is you have Adim that you gave it over. So now, he has Adim that he saw it there, and he says, what is it doing there? The evidence in my evidence by you, my talis is by you. Amaloi, mativa etzlecha. Says the owner, what's it doing by you, the umin? So Amalei, the umin says, Ata machartali, you sold it to me. Ata nasli matana, lo yamaklum. And again, there's the kasha right there. Lo yamaklum, meaning the umin has no chazaka. And if I establish that it's speaking without edim, I have a bomb kasha on Rabbah. Okay, now, second case, which is not going to, again, affect that question, just pshat. However, bifanai amartali, L'moichroi, Ploini said in front of me that what? The woman should sell it to me, or noisnali matana, or the woman should give it to you as matana. Devar kayamin. Furthermore, Maishna Reisha, Maishna Sefer. What's the difference in the case of what? Of the Reisha and the Sefer, where we say in front of me, you told the woman to sell it to me, you believed. Sefer b'yotz mitachas yidei acher. It's speaking not by the woman, it's speaking about somebody else. You have a third party here. So you have the owner, the umin, and a third party. The third party has it in his hands. V'kamalei acher acha ploini amartali, and v'kamalei that other person says b'fanai amarta loi l'maychrei. In front of me, you told the woman to sell it to me, or v'litli matana. So migu di boy amalei minachsa vinta. Migu, he could have said, I bought it from you. Ki amalei nami b'fanai amarta loi l'maychrei dor v'chayamim umehimnim. Okay, a very side point, guys. Let's just very side point. In front of me, in other words, we're learning Pshat in the Brisa. In front of me, well, you said that the woman should sell it to me. This guy's believed. Migu, he could have, he has it in his hands now. So in other words, until now, it's been in the woman's hands, and the woman wants to establish chazaka. This is not speaking about the woman. It's speaking about a third party. That the woman, that he said, in front of me, you told the woman to give it to me. Now, I didn't have to involve the woman. I have it in my possession. Believe me, you told the woman to sell it to me. Believe me, I could have told that you sold it to me. Get rid of the middleman. Migu, that I could have said you sold it to me. You're believed to say the woman sold it to me. Good? Okay, so that just explains the latter part, but that's not the kasha. Okay, that's not the kasha. Where's the kasha? Gitani miyos from the Resha, from the first case. That's the case of you have Adim, that it's in the hands of your Evet's in the hands of the Umin, your catalyst is in the hands of the Kaives. Ra Hechidami. What exactly, who saw what? Adim, if you have Adim that you gave it, guys, if you have Adim that you gave it, Lamali Ra, then why do I have to see it? If I have Adim that I gave it to you, I don't have to see it. Neise Adim and Ishkal. Let the Adim come along and take it back. If I have Adim that I gave it to you, so let the Adim come and take it back. So what does Ra have to do with it? Ella must be Lav Deleka Adim. It must be what? That there are no Adim. It must be there are no Adim. V'chira Mia Tafislei. And even when Adim saw you have it, what's the din? The owner can take it back from the Umin. You, Rabbi, said when the Umin has it and there's no Adim, the Umin is the Muchsik, it belongs to him. You see over here, even where there's no Adim, that what? Ra'ah, Loy Omar Klum, and the owner can take it back. Kasha on Rabbi. Kasha on Rabbi. Okay, again, you saw what I did. I gave you the Kasha already. Then we went to the secondary part, which we answered up easily. And now we're getting back to the Resha, to the Kasha. So that's the Kasha on what? On Rabbah. You see that even without Adim that you gave it over, it's still not a chazaka by the woman. That's the Kasha. Says no loy. La'olam de'ik Adim. There are Adim. There are Adim. There are Adim you gave it over. So the Adim you gave it over. And that's why loyma klum, meaning you don't have a migu of lehoyu devar me'olam. Benji kantaina, it's mine because there's Adim that it's mine. He can't say what. No, so what's the migu? Believe me that what I bought it, migu, like I said, it never happened. I have Adim that I gave it over, it happened. Guys, but there's a second migu. What about good? There's Adim that you gave it over. Yeah. How do you know you didn't return it? So he has a migu. Believe me that what? Believe me that I bought it from you, Lays, because I could have said I returned it to you. Now you'll answer, didn't Rabbi say above, just like you gave it with Adim, you have to return it with Adim. So if you have to return it with Adim, he doesn't have a migu that he returned it to me. Again, Rabbi is the top line, right? This is the kasha. In other words, Abaya said, if that's the case, you still have a migu, even with Adim, right? What's the migu with Adim? Believe migu, good. You sold it to me. Migu, I could have said I returned it to you. Yeah, but so how could he have that migu over here? He has to return it with Adim. So that's what Raw. He returned it to me. You have to return it with Adim. Rabba got off that. Rabba said, no, you have to give it over with Adim, but you don't have to return it with Adim. Says the Gemara, Lo'ilam de'ikar Adim. And therefore it's not a kasha mirava. For who dera? Why did Adim have to say it's still by Benji? Because we want to take away Benji's migu that he could have said he returned it to me. Fred the Gemara for atu the armid hamafkid eitz l'chaver be'edim tzarich l'poyer be'edim. Didn't you say if you entrust somebody with something, you have to pay it back with, you have to return it with edim, and if you have to return it with edim, you have no migu that you returned it. So why do you need raw to destroy that? Says the Gemara hadrabi yad charata. Hadrabi yad charata. Okay, let's we're gonna finish the Gemara Bez Hashem. Let's just take tally where we're holding. Okay, our Mishnah says the following. Our Mishnah says that an umin has no chazaka. So again, as opposed to regular people, this bottle of water is mine because it's underneath my hands. 5 seconds ago, you saw Ari have it. Doesn't make a difference. If it's mine, it's mine. That's it. By an umin, however, if I'm a water filler, it's not mine. If my job is to fill up water bottles, it's not mine. Okay, that's the din. What's the guidelines of that din? What is it speaking about? It says Rabbi, it's speaking about where you had Adam that what you gave it over. If you have Adam that you gave it over, then you don't have no chazaka. If you don't have Adam that you gave it over, then he has a migu. Believe me that what I bought it from you, the water bottle, migu, I could have said what, it never came to me in the first place. Good. So that's the din. Freg Abaya, even with Adam, l'chayra, you should have what? Fine, wonderful. So says Benji, I bought the water, but I have Adam that you that it was mine. He goes, yeah, it was yours, and I returned it to you. So at first the Gemara said, I need Adam also that Benji gave back to me, and therefore that would remove the migu of Chazara. We're getting off that now, guys. We're getting off that. Rabbi agrees that what? Rabbi agrees that what? You do not have to return it with Adam. So, guys, l'chayra, where's the Benji should have a good chazaka? Believe me, Benji, to Laser, that this water bottle belongs to Benji. Why? Migu could he said he returned it because I don't need Adam anymore. That's what Raw helps. Raw, that we still store it by Benji, takes away what? The ability to say, I returned it. So in other words, there are two components over here, guys. There, according to Rabbi, in order to take away a chazaka, you need two dinim. You need A, Adim, and B, they still see it by him. You need Adim to take away the migu of like Hoya Devar Me'olam, and therefore, believe me, I bought it. And you need Ra to take away, I have Adim that I gave it to you. You need Ra to take away the migu, believe me, I bought it, that I returned it to you. That's what it does. And see, Rabbi's held serve. Geshmak? Little bobblehead action? Yeah, very, very geshmak, right? Very geshmak, good. But you see, you had to get off the returning with Adim, or else you can't explain Ra. Okay, now, let's get to the shlug up. We're gonna slug up Rabba. We're gonna slug up Rabba. Says the Gemara Vaita. Masiv Rava l'siyur Rabba. Initially, Rava is going to bring a proof to Rabba. Hanaisin talisay l'umin. Someone gives a talis to an umin. Umin oimesh shtayim katsastili. The umin says that what? It was my pay was $2. V'alo ama loy katsasti l'cha ela achas. I was only going to pay you $1. So hamaitzi mechavero love leviraya. Kol zman shetalis biad umin al balabayas leviraya. Okay. If you go ahead and he gave it to him in the time that that he was supposed to, he gave him a week's work and he gave it back to him in a week. Nishba v'noitel. Then the umin would swear that it was 2 and take it. This is one of the nishba v'noitels in the Torah. Avizmanoi. However, what if it's over this man after what shchia after the time of being the talis, and the umin says then the umin has to bring a raya with Adim to go ahead and establish what, and he won't be believed with a shvua. So bismanoi, he'll be believed with a shvua. If shlei bismanoi, that what? No, if he returned the talis bismanoi, then he's believed with a shvua. If he didn't return the talis bismanoi, then I might say mechaver love lehevi raya. So hechi dami. Okay. Hechi dami. Ide eke edim. If there's edim that the owner of the talis gave it to the umin, lichsei edim, my karmi. Let the edim say how much. What did they say 2 or they say 1? Amin aleph. Elolav, it must be the leka edim. It must be there's no edim. The ketani umin mehimnin migudi bam amalei lekuchi hibiyadi. The umin is believed, right? Even though the talus is in his hand, right? And so, right, migu that he could have said that what lekuchi hibiyadi. So since he could have said that, mehimnin nami agre. If the umin's still, guys, we said it did. If the umin's holding on to it, he's believed to get two. He's believed to get two. So meaning he's muchsik. How is he muchsik? There's no edim. There's no edim. He says two. Owner Tala says one. If he's still holding on to it, he has to bring a raya. That means he has a chazaka. Now, if there's edim, forget everything. Let the edim tell us what happened. Was it 2 or 1? Ella, there's no edim. And nonetheless, he's muchsik. So what do you see? Without edim, you're muchsik. So l'chayr, it's a raya to Rabba. That where's there's no edim, the uman has a chazaka.
Who says the Adam heard? Maybe they only saw.
You assume that they, what is the edus that what?
That it was given over.
You're going to be the pagin and the bura.
There's no dibura.
This is an uman.
They were so far they saw it, but they couldn't hear it. Why do?
I don't know. I assume that l'chayra they heard also. I assume that the assumption would be that we're not going to go ahead. The easy way out to say they heard one and not the other. Anyway, do you want to bring a raya to Rabbah that there's edim, that there's no edim? Because if there was edim, you wouldn't need you know what the price is. Okay, so it must be that what there's no edim, and nonetheless we're saying the umin is established a chazaka for the other person to bring a raya. So it's a raya to Rabbah. There's no edim. Yes, Hesh.
Just as a general question throughout this, and I hear the different back and forth. An uman, by definition, it's like the example you gave. I give a shirt to be cleaned by the uman, so automatically I expect it back. So what's the uman tiny? You sold it to me. I don't have that thing. Who sells? I give a shirt to clean. I sold it to him. That's not the norm. So that takes away a tainu automatically. I hear the other tainus that he could have, that whoever's holding on to it, hey, he's muksik.
So you agree with Abaya?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. You agree with Abaya. You're agreeing with Abaya, which makes a lot of sense. But Rob is of the opinion that if a guy is if you go to the Chinese guy and you don't have edim, and the Chinese guy is not a faleslicha Chinese guy, and then if he says he bought it, right, without edim, in other words, you have a ticket. Your ticket is a raya that you gave it to him. Let's say no tiki. Okay, don't say it on the air, but fill in the blanks, Harold. It answers your question. Correct? You have a right. In other words, let's say you don't have a ticket, and you show up by the cleaners and say, "Where's my thing?" And he would tiny he doesn't have it. What would you do, Hesh? I'm giving you a whole different spin on it, right? Think about it. But you take for granted an honest, you go to the cleaners and you give it in. What happens if the cleaner, you don't have a ticket, and the cleaners were tiny, you never gave me anything? Where's your proof, Harold?
No ticky.
Okay. You understand? No, you understand, right? Now you understand the other side of the coin? Hesh.
Yeah.
Hesh.
Okay.
You understand? I'm playing devil's advocate over here.
Okay.
You're a buyer, but I just play devil's advocate for Rabbah. Your ticket is your aidis that you have it, isn't it? Okay, good. Okay. Anyway, says the Gemara, Lo'ilam deleka edim. This taket is no edim, and therefore it's not going to be a kasha on Rabbah, right? For who the lo'ira, and you know what happened? No one saw anything, right? When no one saw anything that the talus was given, then there's no proof to anything. Like I just said, there's no proof to anything. So whoever's muksuk in it, if no one saw anything, there's no edim, how's the proof that you gave it to him? So migu dabat, believe me that I bought it. Believe me, the price is 2. Migu, I could have said lahadam. If there's no edis that you gave it over, and there's no edis the raw that you saw it, everyone in the world would hold that the umin is the muhsik, because he could have said lahadam, and therefore believe me, it's 2. But it's not a kasha on Rabbah because there's no edim. So once there's no edim and there's no loy raw, Everyone agrees he's got a migu. Good. Final upshlag. Maser Rav Nachman by Yitzchak, Umin ein loy chazaka. Now, an umin does not have a chazaka. Mashma umin hu ein loy chazaka. Ha'acha yesh lo chazaka. And the other person in the similar situation would have a chazaka. So, in the same scenario, the exact same scenario where the umin doesn't have a chazaka, a regular Joe would have a chazaka. A regular Joe would have a chazaka. Says the Gemara. What are we speaking about over here? Hechidami. Ide eke edim. If there's edim that it belonged to the other individual, amai yesh lechazaka. So in other words, you have edis that a shirt was given to the laundromat. You have edis the shirt was given to a regular Joe. You're going to tell me there that in that case the regular Joe is the owner? I have edis that it was given to him. I have edis that it's mine. So that can't be the case. In a scenario where the umin would not have a chazaka, a regular Joe would have a chazaka. If you're telling me that there's edis, then there is no chilik between an umin and a regular Joe. Neither has a chazaka. When do we say guys? This is a moitzimei chaveru olavaraya. I'm muchzik in this, right? I got edis that this guy gave it to me. It says it. I got edis. It's not mine. Then what? So in that it's a chazaka, not. So obviously that can't be the scenario where it's not for an umin, but it is for a regular guy. Ella says it must be lav the ika edim. It must be the leka edim. It must be there's no edim. So in a place where there's no edim, then it's not a chazaka for what? For the umin, but it is the chazaka for me. So if I have a shirt from Heshi and I'm not a laundromat, it's my shirt. Why? Because I'm holding on to it. If Benji gives it to the Chinaman, if Heshi gives it to the Chinaman, then the Chinaman has no chazaka. Why? Because that's, in other words, because an umin has no chazaka. So what do you see from here? An umin does not have a chazaka even without edim. That's a raya to abaya. The tiyufta the rava tiyufta. The katani umin ein loy chazaka tiyufta the rabba tiyufta. It's an upshlag on rabba.